All right, everybody, I want to say thank you very much for that download button on today's Unleashed show. We're going to get to it, but first let's talk about Onnit. Y'all know that Onnit is the company that makes Alpha Brain. They make the best supplements on earth, and you can get some for yourself at onnit.com/Steve. In fact, you can get 10% off your order just for using my name. Onnit's got Shroom Tech Sport, and they got T Plus too. The T Plus is a testosterone booster that's going to give you tons of energy. It's one of the safest, healthiest, and most effective ways to boost testosterone. And if you are over 25, you need to boost your testosterone levels. And Shroom Tech Sport will help your body utilize oxygen better so you can go longer and recover faster. So go to onnit.com/Steve and grab yourself some T Plus and some Shroom Tech Sport. And you will get 10% off your order just for using my name. And if this stuff doesn't work for you the way it's supposed to, then you can get all your money back, no questions asked. Money back guarantee, folks. So what are you waiting for? Go to onnit.com/Steve right now. That's onnit.com/Steve to get your 10% off your order. Hey, gang, y'all know I got 3 happy-ass dogs here at the house, and that's all thanks to BarkBox. BarkBox delivers a box of dog products right to my front door every single month, and it's filled with all kinds of stuff. Toys, treats, leashes, and hygiene products. You get 4 to 6 full-size products, and they're different every single month. And my dogs love the treats because the treats are all made from 100% natural, lean, wild meats like elk, caribou, and wild boar. And your dogs are going to love them too. And right now, you can save 20% on your new subscription by visiting BarkBox.com/Steve. That is BarkBox.com/Steve.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
He started in a small town in Texas. Worked his ass off to become one of the most famous wrestlers of all time.
We're going to take care of business tonight, and that's the bottom line.
And now he's dominating the world of on-demand audio. And he's doing it for the working man.
This is a damn good outlet for me to spew the bullshit off my brain.
Yeah! This is the Steve Austin Show. Unleashed. Unleashed.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the streets of Los Angeles, California. The studio's here at 316 Gimmick Street. Didn't have to go nowhere to lay down this can of audio whoop ass sitting here right here in my office watching the needle on a clock, a Pearl Beer neon clock spin round and round and round. And before I get into the show, I wanted to mention last night that I found out about the passing of the Ultimate Warrior. Got a message from Chris Jericho, and then followed that up with a conversation with Wade Keller, Pro Wrestling Torch. And I guess, I don't know how he died. I guess Warrior had a heart attack or something walking across the parking lot with his wife. And I got a chance to meet his wife and his 2 beautiful daughters at WrestleMania just last Sunday. Didn't get a chance to even talk to the Warrior. He was so busy shaking hands and doing interviews with cameras all around him. Didn't get a chance to say hi. And just very sorry, very sad to hear that he has left this world at such a young age. And it's just a sad day anytime one of the boys leaves and leaves too early. And you know, when I heard about the promo that he cut on Monday Night Raw, it was just quite eerie almost, that he was almost seemingly to me predicting his death. But anyway, don't really know what to say. Just said I wish his wife and his 2 daughters all the best in my thoughts, and hang in there. It was good to see that the Warrior and WWE had buried the proverbial hatchet and had come back together. And then now just so sad that the Warrior has left. And I know he inspired a lot of people with his act and his persona and his charisma and his character and what the Warrior stood for. My good friend Zakk Wylde of Black Label Society and Ozzy Osbourne fame was a huge wrestling fan. And Ultimate Warrior was absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, his favorite wrestler in the world. We would sit there and talk about it and why he loved the Warrior so much. So I tell you what, the Warrior was a very interesting guy. And I can say I probably met him around WrestleMania 12 in Los Angeles when I was working a match with Savio Vega. And he was doing that thing. Shoot, who did he work with? I think he worked with Triple H that day. And it was a very short match. But Warrior was always cool to me. And we only had a few conversations, maybe 3 or 4. But the guy was always very nice to me. Certainly had a reputation to be cantankerous. And, you know, sometimes he was a little bit moody. But man, when I look back at my career, I was certainly cantankerous and moody on several occasions. But anyway, pay my respects to the Warrior family. And you have my thoughts. Anyway, hey, man, moving down the road, I tell you what, my guest today is Michael P.S. Hayes. Michael P.S. Hayes of the Fabulous Freebirds, one of my favorite tag teams of all time, a tag team that I feel should be in the Hall of Fame ASAP. And it was the Fabulous Freebirds, and it consisted of Michael P.S. Hayes. The P.S. stood for Purely Sexy. But back when he was in Mid-South and Power Pro and working with Bill Watts, feuding with Ted DiBiase, they said it stood for Prissy Sissy. And it would rile him up to no end when the people started calling him Prissy Sissy. The other members of the Fabulous Freebirds were Terry Bam Bam Gordy, one of the baddest big guys in the history of the business. Man, I used to love watching Terry Gordy just do what the fuck he did in the ring, just walk around with those big steps, like that look on his face, just this big tough-ass bully. And, of course, Buddy Jack Roberts, a heat-seeking missile. Everybody in the building figured they could whip Buddy's ass. If they couldn't whip Michael or Terry Bam Bam Gordy's ass, they could damn sure whip Buddy Roberts' ass. But they stuck together like glue, and they had each other's back. And I used to be in North Texas State University back in about 86, 87. And when the Freebirds came to town to do battle with the Von Erichs at the Sportatorium, the world-famous one and only Dallas Sportatorium, where it smelled like beer, piss, cigarettes, and hot dogs, and sweat. Pay my money to go see those guys do their thing. And I just had so many fond memories. And, you know, Michael was so instrumental in my career back when I was at King of the Ring in 96 in Milwaukee at the Mecca when I wrestled Johnny B. Bad and he kicked me in the mouth and I went to the hospital to get stitched up. And as soon as I came back from the hospital and stepped out of the ambulance, there was Michael P.S. Hayes as Doc Hendricks telling me that Jake had cut a religious-based promo on me. And that's how I came up with Austin 316, right then, right there. And had Michael never told me about that promo that Jake cut, the Austin 316 thing would have never happened because I would have never had a reason to go there. And so I owe that to Michael P.S. Hayes. And I also, you know, owe the Stone Cold Stunner to Michael P.S. Hayes. It was at Fayetteville, North Carolina. I just turned, I guess I was just maybe now becoming Stone Cold Steve Austin. I might have still been a ringmaster. I was using the $1 Million Dream. Michael P.S. Hayes comes up to me at Fayetteville. He goes, "Hey, kid, you got a minute?" I said, "I want to show you something." I said, "Yeah." So I followed Michael out to the ring, and we got a couple of the local enhancement guys, you know, guys that travel around doing some JOBs, respectfully. And he goes, "I got this move I want you to, maybe you'd like to try." And he started telling me and explaining to me how the Stone Cold Stunner, what would become known as the Stone Cold Stunner, worked. And Johnny Ace was using a version of it called the Ace Crusher, I believe, in Japan. Dallas Page used his version of it in WCW. No one used the version which Michael P.S. Hayes showed me by dropping the guy and going to my ass. We later would set up the kick to the gut after another conversation with Michael Hayes. So if Michael Hayes had never told me about the promo Jake Roberts cut, if Michael Hayes had never shown me the Stone Cold Stunner, I never would have had that. So the guy was very, very instrumental in my career. I'm about to have a conversation with him. But I'm going to tell you something real quick. When I went down to WrestleMania 30, I knew about the setup. I knew that it was going to be me, Hogan, and The Rock in the ring. And they kind of gave us a little outline of what was going to be said. And, of course, I looked at the outline and the piece of paper that it was written on. I crumpled it up into a little ball of paper and threw it in the trash can where it belonged. You don't need to write verbiage for Stone Cold Steve Austin. I went out there and gave some props to Hulk Hogan for a hell of a career that he had. People always thought that me and him had some heat. I buried that hatchet, that perceived hatchet, and gave him all the respect that I have for him. It was fun sitting there at the Hall of Fame, watching all that stuff that they did 30 years ago. 30 fucking years. Running down the road, training with T, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, goddamn Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. with that fucking cast on his arm. It used to piss me off. Man, that guy was so good in the ring. But just watching all those good vignettes that those guys were doing back then and paving the way for all these superstars to come down the road, including myself. And now there I was sitting next to him at WrestleMania 30 at the Hall of Fame, where I was sitting next to his wife. And so it was just a lot of fun. And you know what I wanted to do, once I saw the promo, I said to Vince when I got there, I said, hey, you know what? I said, I'd like to add something to this. Because we're in New Orleans, because we're in Louisiana, I've been all over the great state of Louisiana. It's a place that I really love dearly because I love Cajun food so much. I love the people. I love the outdoor lifestyle. And when I was in junior college, right outside of Houston, Texas, we'd play. Most of our schedule was a lot of those Louisiana teams, and we'd drive over there. I played at Wharton County Junior College, about 60 miles south of Houston on 59 South, and we go get our ass whooped up there in Louisiana, and then we get on a goddamn school bus and drive back home. Well, 2 years later, I got a scholarship to North Texas State University, played all the rest of the teams in Louisiana, drove into Louisiana, or they come to our place, and when they'd whip our asses too. We wouldn't worth a flying fuck whether it was junior college or North Texas State University. I played so many goddamn towns in Louisiana. I just love that place. So I wanted to sing Jambalaya by Hank Williams Sr. So I go into Vince's office and said, hey, Vince, I said, I got an idea. I said, man, we're in Louisiana. I'd like to sing Jambalaya. He goes, what's Jambalaya? And I started singing the first two sentences. He goes, oh, yeah, I recognize that song. He says, Steve, you realize we're on a global basis. I said, well, goddamn, I realize that, but fuck, we're in Louisiana. I said, people from all over the world are here, but if there's 80,000 people in the Silverdome, excuse me, the Superdome, I was just kidding with you. I was fucking with you because that's what Hulk Hogan said. So if we're in the Superdome and there's 80,000 motherfuckers there, you got to figure about 50,000 going to be local from Louisiana. They know what the fuck's going on. They're going to sing along with me. I said, we could put the damn lyrics up on the Titantron. He goes, well, let me call Kevin Dunn on the truck, see if we can do that. He called Kevin Dunn in the truck, but it turns out if we did that, we might have some problems with the people suing us for using the lyrics and all that other bullshit without proper written permission. So anyway, I didn't get a chance to go out there and sing Jambalaya. So I was a little bit mad about that because, you know, the verbiage was what it was, and I was really, really happy and really proud to go out there and do that opening segment with the one and only immortal Hulk Hogan and my damn good friend, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment who's crushing it in Hollywood and all these big blockbuster movies, The Rock. And I had a couple of good chances to have some good conversations with The Rock's mother, too. I saw her a couple of times at breakfast, and we had some nice talks, and she's such a nice, classy lady. But anyway, I wanted to sing a song, and we couldn't do it. And I figured, you know what? Fuck, if we can't do it at WrestleMania 30 in front of a couple million people around pay-per-view in the universe, and right in front of about, I think the crowd was about 76,000 people, I figured least I can do is sing you motherfucking working man and the working women a verse of Jambalaya by Hank Williams. Making money up in this bitch singing songs for you. Shit. If I had a guitar here, I'd go get my guitar and play that motherfucker too. Without any further ado, I present to you Jambalaya by Hank Williams. One verse. Here we go. Goodbye, Joe, me gotta go, me oh my oh. Me gotta go, pull the Piro down the bayou. My Yvonne, the sweetest one, me oh my oh. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Jambalaya and crawfish pie and a filet gumbo. 'Cause tonight I'm a-gonna see Mama Shadow Mio. Pick guitar, fill fruit jar, and be gay-o. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. The end. And can you imagine that? In the Silverdome, Superdome. I did that on purpose, goddammit. In the Superdome was 75, 80,000 motherfuckers joining in with the lyrics on the Titantron. Goddammit. Come on, WWE. We got to fucking make money up in this bitch. I'm trying to go out there. You want to fly me from Los Angeles all the way to New Orleans and not give me a chance to sing a tune? Travesty. Fucking travesty. I'm just kidding. Hey, it was a good time to be there. Without any further ado, I'm fixing to jump into the show. I want to pay my respects to the family of the Ultimate Warrior. I want to thank my guest, Michael P.S. Hayes, for coming to my room and talking to me for about an hour. I didn't get a chance to do a bunch of research. Anytime I talk to someone, I like to do all the research I can to further facilitate a deep conversation. Michael Hayes had his mind in a million places, trying to do everything that he does, trying to help some of these superstars get ready for their matches. I didn't know whether to shit or wind my watch because I'm talking to people, doing my thing, drinking wine with Kevin Nash at night, and didn't do a bunch of research, but nonetheless, coming up is a conversation that I had with one of my favorite pro wrestlers of all time, and a guy who was so entertaining and really instrumental in my career. But before we get into that interview, here we go with a little Bad Street Atlanta, GA. Shit, that's one of the baddest goddamn intro songs anybody ever wrote, man. When them motherfuckers come down, they come down to whoop a man's ass. Hey, here comes my interview with Michael P.S. Hayes. But first, taking care of my sponsors, and that includes the good folks at DraftKings.com, because you got to start playing if you haven't yet. DraftKings awarded over $500,000 in cash prizes on baseball opening day. $500,000 on opening day. And America's favorite one-day fantasy sports site has lots more where that came from. So if you're a fantasy sports fan, you got to head over to DraftKings.com. It's quick and it's easy, and you ain't got to make a season-long commitment. You ain't stuck with the same players. It's just instant cash every single day. And if baseball ain't your thing, you can play hockey or pro basketball. Just go to DraftKings.com, because what's better than watching sports and winning tons of cash for your effort? Making money up in this bitch. And right now, you can play for free to win real cash. Ain't no fake cash, real cash. Just enter Steve today at DraftKings.com and get free entry into another big money contest. DraftKings.com is awarding $400,000 in cash prizes. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Turn your hearing up. $400,000. So get in on that prize money. Just enter Steve now at DraftKings.com. All right, y'all know I'm addicted to playing that dang Deer Hunter 2014. I started playing on my iPhone, and the next thing I know, an hour of my day is gone. I'm shooting all kinds of animals, not just deer. I'm shooting goats, black bears, lions, and cheetahs. I even shot a wolverine the other day. And I've been playing so much, I'm about to unlock a chance to kill a unicorn. That's right, a damn unicorn. Bottom line, the game is fun, and most of all, it's free on the App Store and Google Play. And you don't have to be a gamer or a hunter to have fun playing this game. There's no tracking or stalking animals. You just aim and fire. And there's hundreds of missions to play. And each one you finish earns you cash. And then you can use that cash to upgrade your weapon. Buy yourself a better scope or barrel or magazine. You can use infrareds to help you with your shots. You can do club hunts with your friends. Millions of people are playing Deer Hunter 2014, and I'm one of them. It's a great time, and it's a badass game. Try it for yourself, and you'll be hooked just like me. Get Deer Hunter 2014 for free on the App Store or Google Play now. So anyway, we're here, WrestleMania 30, talking to Michael PSAs. I mean, so should I call you Michael PSAs or Doc Hendricks?
Oh, don't call me Doc.
Don't call you Doc.
The only time Doc had any good moments was when I stooged off Jake to you when you were coming back from the hospital there in Milwaukee at the King of the Ring.
Okay, let's jump in right there. There we were.
You know what? I'm not crazy about Doc Hendricks, especially at the time, because I still thought I had a lot of gas in my tank, or at least enough to run around the track once or twice more.
So you're saying when they converted you to Doc Hendricks, you were an on-air personality and not someone in the squared circle.
Right.
Okay.
I was. And that hurt, but at the point I was in my lifetime, coming off back surgery, and could tell right away that I was not, I'll be the first to say that I wasn't the greatest wrestler of all time. And I get a kick out of it when people come up and say, you weren't the greatest wrestler of all time. I go, no, I wasn't, but I sold out. So, when you want to go look at that, just call me box office, okay?
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, you're one of my favorites. But, yeah, no, you weren't one of the greatest, but you were an attraction. Your attitude, y'all swagger. I mean, the Freebirds, the whole gimmick, you, Bam Bam Terry Gordy, Buddy Roberts. I mean, the whole unit, man. I was a college student at North Texas State University, man. As soon as I knew the Freebirds were coming into town, I was going to buy a ticket. And y'all could all work your ass off. Were you the most graceful person in the ring? No. And to that point, neither was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Sold a couple tickets in my day, though.
Yeah.
It ain't always the greatest. It ain't always the greatest athlete that rings up the cash register.
No, fans don't buy tickets for grace. But that was the problem. Is that really the Freebird thing wasn't a gimmick. It was a lifestyle.
That's what I mean.
It was us.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to let go of that lifestyle. And then I'd never really been in the corporate world, a little bit at WCW. And I came up here and I was at the crossroads in my career. And that was what was offered to me. And I decided at that time that, you know what? Maybe there's a time maybe more than once or twice in a man's life where you decide maybe it's time that I don't know everything, and maybe it's time I shut up and I learn some more. And that's basically what I did with the Doc Hendricks thing. I was the pitch man. I was a goofy guy. But what I did in 4 years was I learned television. I learned the inner workings of television.
What was the difference between learning television as you speak now to what you knew as a guy in the ring as a Freebird?
In the ring, I just knew that I didn't know what the television end of the of our genre was looking for. I just knew that I was the guy. I was a star. You come follow me if you want the action, right, or follow us. So with that said,
so you know how to entertain people once they get in the building. Is how the product is covered from a TV standpoint and the production.
Exactly, and I didn't understand production. Thank you. And plus I always did have a feeling of confidence because it was quite a barrier to break in rock and roll music in wrestling. I don't think a lot of people have ever come up and said, hey, thanks for doing that, because I didn't have the balls to do it or wouldn't have had the balls to do it. And we did it for us. It was quite an ordeal to talk Gordy into it. At first, he didn't. I don't know, Michael. I don't know about no rock and roll coming out. So, Terry, we ride up and down the road, okay? We listen to the same Leonard Skinner tape. We throw down some beer and a couple other things.
Yeah.
And then, we go to the town. We come back. We do the same thing. I said, what it was is there was a marriage in the music business, and the wrestling business, if you will.
Yeah.
Because I would see the same people at concerts when I was a kid growing up. And funny story about that, I went to a Skynyrd concert about 2 weeks ago. And there we are backstage, me and Johnny Van Zant. I didn't even know they were in town. I was walking the beach in Pensacola. Some guy comes up and says, Freebird. I said, yeah. He goes, you going to that Freebird concert tonight? I said, no. He said, yeah, Skynyrd's in town. So I got a hold of the guys and, still keep in touch with them. And there we are before they go on drinking water laughing. Now, I can guarantee you, 20 years ago, that's not what we would have been doing. We'd have been laughing, but we wouldn't have been drinking water.
Yeah.
So that's a cool involvement. But getting back to the Doc Hendrix thing, it just... every man needs to be humbled at least once or twice in his life. And it's hard to do when you have to, especially in this business, when it's your bravado that carries you.
I always felt, and so when you came in here and you were now going to be Doc Hendrix, how old were you?
I was 35.
Damn. You were that young.
Yeah.
When did you last step out of a ring?
The last time I actually was in a ring was 2001, and before that it had been probably a couple years. I just did the brief thing with the Hardys.
But you really retired at what age?
Oh, probably 34, 33.
Oh,
yeah.
I had no idea it was that soon.
Yeah, but you
had
got to remember, I started at 17.
Well, I know, but, in a wrestler's life, in the prime, boy, when you're in those mid-30s,
Yeah.
you know so much. You've been back and forth, heel, baby, the whole gamut.
Yeah.
And you really have a
I
great
didn't
psychological.
get that.
Yeah, but that's very young. I thought, when I left at 40, that was still young.
Sure it is. And it's amazing, to your point, how much you know. You break in and the old-timers will sit there and shake their head at you when you come back. Oh, that was good, kid, but you're just doing too much. And you don't get it. You're like, screw that. I'm going to do everything to get over.
These days, I've been out, Michael, since WrestleMania 19, almost 12 years. We're at WrestleMania 30 right now in a few days. And I left the business. I retired. But you never leave the business. Your mind is still there. So, it's always evolving. You keep putting on layers and layers of stuff. More knowledge keeps coming in. I watch the product today, and I watch these, young men and women go out there and do the deal and pay the dues and learn the inner workings of a squared circle. And when I go back and watch my stuff, I'm highly critical of everything that I did.
Right.
So my mind keeps evolving and watching what they're doing today. But, man, at 34, 35 years of age, so then you come here, you're going to be Doc Hendrix. And you were always a mouthpiece. Was the promo always easy for you? Were you a talkative kid when you was younger?
Yeah. That was one thing that kind of came easy. It was actually Hollywood John Tatum.
I loved him.
And I grew up together.
Yeah.
And
are y'all cousins or just friends?
We're best friends.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, we got in trouble in school for skipping school, and they got sent us to a special crisis class.
Right.
And the assignment was to write a 25-word essay on what you did over the weekend. So he wrote down, Don Carson broke his T-tier on the turnbuckle on Saturday Night Wrestling. And he's sliding it to me. We're only in like the 6th grade. And he's about doubled over with laughter, but try to keep it from the teacher. Yeah. So I laugh. I don't even know what Saturday Night Wrestling is. So he turned me on to it, but he had a way, because his parents, were in politics and they owned the fairgrounds, of kind of being a heel most of his life. And I took a lot of the stuff that he did and I kind of manufactured it into that Michael Hayes persona. And then I stole from Mike the California Hippie Boyette. And then I was somewhere in between because, in my day, it wasn't just say no, it was just say yes.
Right.
So, I just took a bunch of that stuff and put it together. And then, when I got with Terry Gordy, who was a phenom at 16, back there was no internet. There was, you sent pictures in, like if you wanted to get,
But you're growing up down there in Picola, right?
Right. But Terry was from the Tennessee area.
So you're already in business now?
Yeah, I'm already in the business. I just got brought over to...
And you got in when you were 17?
Yeah.
What'd your parents say when you said, hey, I'm going to be a pro wrestler?
I'll give you 6 months. That's what my mama said. My daddy died when I was like 3 months old.
Yeah.
But she said, I'll give you 6 months. She's my biggest fan. And, she used to be crazy when she'd go watch us. But anyway, so Gordy was their champion at 16. They were running opposition, Mississippi, to Bill Watts. I got brought over under a mask to, be the job guy.
Right.
And I hit it off with Frankie Kane, the great Mephisto, who was the booker. And I used to ride over with the group of guys that come over from Pensacola. And one week they didn't have nobody to do an interview. And, I did this yucky babyface interview, but I said all the right things.
Right.
And he went, that kid can talk. And he gave me the platform to talk. And that started getting me noticed. That's where I broke in with Percy, Paul Bearer. And we used to ride together. Miles and miles he wouldn't talk to me.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Why? Because you was a young guy?
No, because I get on his nerves.
Right.
I'm able to do that in life and in the ring.
Yeah.
And I'd sit there and comb my hair all the time. And I'd tell him, I said, I'm going to have this thing where it's going to be the fabulous Freebirds and rock and roll music. And it's going to work. And it's going to hit big. And even back then, I thought our business could go big. We discussed this a little bit before we went on the air. I thought it's such an art form, and I'm glad it's finally being realized for that. It's physical art that you have to be special to do.
Right.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that can do it a lot better than I could from a mechanical point. But people don't buy mechanics.
Right.
People buy feelings. And that's the thing that the Freebirds and the Von Erichs had. There was a feeling there, it's like when Flair would come on TV, like when you would come on TV, there's all these special people, the elite people, have this tangible thing that where they go, oh, hell, something fixing to happen now. Get out the way to TV. I mean, from grandmothers to teenagers, there's just a feeling because people want to be entertained.
Right.
The life they live through us.
Right.
The one they want to live. The life that they do live kind of sucks.
It's tough.
It's
the
tough.
working man and working woman.
And you know what? I always appreciated somebody buying a ticket. I don't think you can find hardly any fans that ever say they didn't get more than their money's worth when they saw the Freebirds.
Right.
And it was just a pride thing.
Dude, I used to watch when I was going to school at North Texas State University my junior and senior year playing football Friday nights. Sportatorium. I would go down and say, who's coming to town? The Freebirds are coming to town. Man, they'd hit y'all's music, and here you would come with that red sequin Confederate flag coming down. Loud, proud, it was just badass, full of swagger. Your damn hair bleached blonde, and then you come in and you get on top of that turnbuckle, start doing the hip thing. I was like, man, that son of a bitch. I either wanted to kick, because of what y'all were doing.
Right.
I either wanted to kick your ass or drink beer with you, but I was going to see the Freebirds and Michael Hayes, and it was electricity. People don't know. The people that were there do, and even the days before, because that was kind of on the downswing of WCCW. But just that Sportatorium in general, and how hot those Von Erichs were, how hot y'all were.
Yeah.
That was a great time to be a pro wrestling fan.
It was. When we went in there, I went in there for 1 week for Gary Hart because I'd been running with Gary a little bit when he would bring Kabuki and Georgia Championship Wrestling. And this was one of the times I got fired or quit. I forget. Me and Ole got in an argument. And so they did an angle where they broke my leg. But they didn't really break my leg.
Right.
But everybody thought they did. So for first time ever, I'm off. The phone don't ring because usually people pick you up off that cable.
Right.
And come on in. And it was always fun. You'd come in like the champion. You come in a week or two, get a great guarantee, and had no pressure. So anyway, I came out there for a week for Gary Hart, and he brought me into what was their big shows. I think they had them like once a quarter. They called them Star Wars. So I went to San Antonio, and I had no expectations. You never heard anybody say, oh, I'm out of here, I'm going to Dallas. You just never heard it.
Right.
You did hear stories about Fritz Von Erich pushes his boys, and he really pushes them down everybody's throat. That was a smart move.
Right.
But I got to the Hemisphere Arena. A lot of people don't even remember that in San Antonio.
Yeah.
They had a $50,000 house. And I was shocked at that. I went, oh, my God. You can draw money here. They can draw money. And when I saw the response for the Von Erichs, I just couldn't believe it. I hadn't seen that since I've been fortunate enough to work with some of the top ones.
Yeah.
I got with Junkyard Dog here in New Orleans. We blew that apart. And that was somebody that was over.
Yeah.
He wasn't the only one over time, but he's the one that popped it. Tommy Rich in his heyday.
Yeah.
And I don't know that at that point I would venture to say, if you asked me, the Von Erichs were even stronger in their home area. And I remember I rode back with David Manning, and I got to the payphone, and I called Terry. I said, listen, you need to give your notice. I said, you need to come on out here. We got some business to do. And, we did that whole thing. But the Von Erich, it just captured the whole state because, as you know from being from Texas, it's its own country.
Right.
And, they just love them boys. They had to shut down Six Flags one time in Arlington when they went there because people just mobbed them. But that thing just clicked. And that's the one thing about our business is when you get the ball to the top of the hill, then you can screw up and draw money.
Right.
And we did.
Yeah.
We did. But I thought we had some really good stuff. We had a really good time, and I'll never forget it in my life,
So what made you decide, hey, man, I'm getting pro wrestling? And who broke you in?
Well, I loved, as soon as I watched it, I got hooked, And
what was, I've been asking this question, but what was it about it to you? Some people have been telling me it was a larger-than-life personas. For me, changing channels at 7 or 8 years of age in Edna, Texas, it was just two guys, and there was no high production values. It was a smoke-filled arena. It was the Sam Houston Coliseum. It was a little rope banister around the ring. It was just two guys going at it for the championship gold, and that was enough. Dusty Rhodes was bleeding like a stuck pig, and that's what got me hooked on it. It was about the competition. It wasn't so much about the spectacle or the larger-than-life personalities. For you, what was it?
Well, that hooked me too. The excitement of it, because it would make you angry and make you happy at the same time.
And you grew up watching which territory?
The Gulf Coast Wrestling.
Okay.
But
would that have been Gordon Soley calling that action?
No. That's South Florida.
Okay.
This is North Florida. They had a variety of announcers. The ring announcer, Don Griffin, I remember him. I don't recall who would call it periodically. They weren't a Gordon Soley, but It was that action and the excitement and, the different varied emotions it would make you feel. But now I do have to say, the one that got me was Mike the California Hippie Boyette, and a guy I stole from too was the fabulous Don Fargo.
Right.
When Don Fargo came in with that long bleach blonde hair and that strut, buddy, and he had a different strut than Jarrett did, which he took from Jackie Fargo.
Right.
Don's was more kind of like what I tried to do, God dang, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
Not look at me. It's like I am it.
Yeah.
And that I was hooked. I was hooked. So, I implemented a lot of those things that worked for me, and I could tell that I, without trying, could really tick people off. And I combined that with the verbal skills I was blessed with, and tried to say things that were contemporary. I always use song lyrics in my promos where people that would hit home with them. And then I would talk about stuff that, people weren't talking about then. It's like, hey, man, look, I know you're not having a good time right now. I know your wife's looking at me, and she's wanting me. She surely doesn't want you. And I mean, that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I got Terry out there. As you know, the rest was history. We got Buddy back out of the oil fields.
How did he come into the mix?
Well, Bill Watts put him with us at first when we were in Louisiana because, I think I was really ticking off Buck Robley with my ring work. Even though the thing was working, Buck had to direct everything from dog to us. Terry,
you say ticking everybody off with your ring work, meaning what?
That I wasn't up to speed.
Okay, on the green side?
Yeah, to be in that position. I mean, you got to remember now, I main evented this place at 21 years old.
Yeah.
Against Junkyard Dog in the Superdome.
Yeah.
And,
Jesus Christ, that's unbelievable.
Lot of heat.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot
from
of
the boys.
From the boys.
Yeah, a little, jealousy.
And, and Terry and Buddy was in the double main event with against Buck and Dusty. And, of course, they brought Andre and Hogan in. And that was when Hogan had his first run as a heel.
Yeah.
And they booed that match.
Yeah.
At the time. Of course, it later became one of the biggest matches of all time. So they had a few years to perfect it. But, once I learned how to tick people off, I knew that it was something I could use. And if I could tick the people off without trying, what if I tried?
Right. I know the answer to this question, but obviously I want to ask it. You like working heel better than you do baby.
Oh, God, yeah.
What do you like more about working as a heel?
First of all, I like the power. I like the control. And because without the antagonist, as JR would say, you can't have a protagonist. You can't draw money if there ain't somebody you want to see get their ass kicked. That's just plain and simple. It's a lot different today, But there's still a lot of those basic formulas that will work. You got to want to see somebody get bounced around. And, it always worked, too, because you never died. You never got killed, which is what you build the audience to a fever pitch, and that's what they wanted. I did not like being a babyface. I saw the reasons to do it at times because there's a thin line between love and hate. And sooner or later, if they hate you long enough, they're going to love you.
Right.
But, yeah, man, I'm heel through and through.
I always liked your work was much different than Adrian Adonis, but I always put you guys in the same paragraph when I talk about when it's time to get the heat. There was a visual change in your whole body language, everything you did. Anything, if it wasn't backpedaling, I mean, it was straight up. You was a piece of shit, mean son of a bitch. And now it's time to really get dirty. And you was dirty to begin with.
Yeah.
Because, you played a little bit of the cowardly stuff, but you played it on the, on the up and up. And, Adrian Adonis, same way. I mean, all of a sudden when it comes time to get that heat, you got nasty. And you got to have that mean streak. In my opinion, to be a great heel, you need many things. But one thing you need to have, you got to be mean.
Yeah, you do. You just have to know when to smell, that blood in the water, and you got to go for it. And that's the thing is like.
And stay on it.
And stay on it.
And to the other end of that, the babyface has to have great fire to reflect that. You get a damn hot-ass heel and you get a limpy-ass a babyface with no fire, nobody gives a rat's ass.
No, they don't. And, once again, I was so blessed to have Terry and Buddy and Jimmy Garvin in later years. I had a great time with Jimmy. But everybody knew their role, and we had 3 different roles. Mm-hmm. We had a shotgun effect. We weren't all the same,
Agreed.
And that was the thing.
Define those roles.
Well,